Good morning and welcome back to another video, and today we are going to be going over one transmog farm that you probably should be doing. Let us begin. Okay, so today we're going to be going over the Dungeon of 𝐵𝐿𝐿. Now this one is a keynote transmog item, especially for high ticket transmog farming. And what you're going to be wanting to do is make your way over towards Dunmarrow and come over towards 𝐵𝐿𝐿. Now, within 𝐵𝐿𝐿, once you're inside, you're going to be wanting to immediately jump in towards the instance. Now, the fun fact with 𝐵𝐿𝐿 is it has a wide variety of different types of items. Now, what you're going to be wanting to do is gather up all of the mobs and burn them down. When you're actually doing this, you're going to have to batch these guys because there is a ton in which you can actually farm up or gather up in general. Gathering up all of these mobs takes a little bit of time, but this is a very big dungeon to say the least. What you're really wanting to do is just jump down towards the bottom and just take out all of the mobs. Don't worry about the water elementals. I typically just bypass these guys, as I like to head towards the rest of them over here. Once you're over to this section, what you're going to be really wanting to do is just gather up all of the humanoids. You can grab one on the bottom along with all of that, and once that's done, the other one will gather them up with you. With all of that, you can also gather more of these mobs up, and realistically you want them to gather up all of the mobs running down the side of the area. This is so they actually run down and gather up all of the mobs with you and or for you, so they all become alerted to your presence so you can gather them up. I generally like to keep going and just follow my way around. When it comes to actually farming all of these humanoids up, they have a chance of dropping some real keynote transmog items. Overall, it's not that hard in order to do. It just takes a little bit longer than a conventional gold farm in order to farm this dungeon up. You can also go through the back entrance of 𝐵𝐿𝐿 to actually farm it that way. However, I find the front entrance to be a lot more easier for myself. However, it's up to your own discretion really, whether or not you want to actually farm it up in that manner. I gather up all of the mobs within the circular shaped fashion, and then I can burn all of these mobs back down. As it's all a little bit of a circular-esque area, I can actually just run around in a complete loop and wait for all the mobs to gather up towards me. Along with that, while we're actually waiting for all these mobs to come to us, we're going to want to just go over to 𝐵𝐿𝐿, and we're going to open it up within Worth It, as there are a load of keynote items within this dungeon which can actually sell for generally a decent amount of gold overall. What you're really going for is the high ticket items, as the low ticket items don't sell for an awful lot. So realistically, you're going for those super rare items that can only be obtained through just running said instance multiple times in order to get a chance of this item to actually drop. The keynote item of all is the items of note is the Mech Builder's overalls, which goes for around about 1 million gold. The gloves, the Hotshot Pilot gloves, which is the ultra rare item, which is 9, which currently on my server is around about is going for gold cap. Let's just say that the min bar is gold cap. However, you've got the petrol spill leggings to go along with that for 12,000 gold. You also have the Cavern Deep trudges, which is an unknown item at this moment in time. Basically, it hasn't been on the auction house for so long, it just doesn't have a value on the auction house. The high-tech super gun for 3,000 gold, the vibro blade going at around about 5,997 gold, the oscillating power hammer for 4,293 gold, supercharged battle axe 1,500, and also the Gizmotron mega chopper, which is at 172,000 gold. Overall, the two keynote items is the Hotshot Pilot gloves and the Mech Builder's overalls. They are the items you're going for. All of the other blue items are just bonuses. Once you've actually done this dungeon, you may want to consider where you're actually going to go back. It takes a lot longer than most other gold farms due to the fact because it's just a huge dungeon in order to do. Typically speaking, whenever I'm farming it, I will always farm it up in a circular shape fashion. So I will gather up all of the mobs where we actually just originally covered and burn them down, then just go reset the instance because I don't like spending too much time. However, if you do want to make it a little bit more further, you can just take it all the way up to this part here where it leads you up to the last boss. And other than that, that's where you'll want to dreamwalk, is around about here within the dungeon after you've gathered them all up. Needless to say, it takes a long time in order to get some of these keynote items, but it's because it's so big, so vast, and it's very difficult to find a good farming pattern for this. Not many people do this gold farm as well, along with the low drop chances for those high ticket items. It just adds up quite nicely in the long term overall. Other than that, guys, that is pretty much everything I have to say for this amazing gold farm. I actually managed to, for myself, I've got the Hotshot Pilot gloves once, and the Mech Builder overalls I've never gotten. So other than that, I'm actually probably going to continue farming this up. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and if you want any other gold making resources, then you can find that on the Patreon. Other than that, guys, have an awesome rest of the day, and I shall see you in the next video, which will be soon.